guys, welcome to Audrey's reading area. Yes, today is Wednesday, so it's multicultural. You know, I have a book from somewhere else. We're going to learn about some of the cultures of Moscow. Moscow. Apologize, I don't really have any props to match Moscow. So I will just read a little bit. It's a lot in here, so I'm going to just try to skim through. But I will read to you about Moscow. And this book is by Deborah Kent. Deborah Kent. So, let's get into it. Deborah Kent. It says, let me show you the first picture. Moscow. Pretty cool. By Deborah Kent. Gates, domes, and towers. Gates, domes, and towers. I am here. Something fell. Sorry. Every hour on the hour, somber chimes ring out from a clock tower in Moscow. Radio and television broadcasts carry the sound of these famous chimes all over Russia. The chimes ring forth from the Savior Tower, one of 20 towers in Moscow's Kremlin. Once the Kremlin was the home of the Tsars, or emperors of Russia, and the Tsars' families and courtiers. It is a vast complex of churches and cathedrals, courtyards, places, and ancient battlements. Seen from a distance, the Kremlin looks like a gleaming forest of domes and spires. Look at that. Beautiful buildings here. Beautiful. Wow. Four magnificent gates led into the Kremlin. A smaller rear entrance, the postern gate, opened to a secret passageway. This passage leads to the nearby Moskva River. I'm trying to pronounce these things properly, so forgive me if I don't. And was designed as an escape route in case the Kremlin was under attack. The word Kremlin comes from the Russian Kreml, meaning fortress. During the Middle Ages, Kremlins were erected for defense in many Russian towns, but the Kremlin in Moscow took on special importance. As the centuries passed, it grew from a small walled fort to become the splendid complex that stands today. With the Kremlin at its heart, the city of Moscow spread farther and farther into the surrounding countryside. Look at this beautiful building, by the way. Moscow is the capital of Russia, the largest country in the world in area. Okay. The city is a teeming center of trade and culture. Its universities and research institutes lure students from all over the globe, or all over the world as you know it. In Moscow, political leaders make decisions that resound across Russia and echo through the world. The Kremlin is the hub of this mighty city. Like the spokes of a wheel, Moscow's streets radiate from the Kremlin in all directions. Moscow sets the pace for the Russian people. The chimes from the Kremlin's Savior Tower proclaim the hour to the city and to the nation. And by the way, I need to shout out my grandbabies, Korea, Sana, David III, and Kaden. Miss you guys and love you so much. So, Moscow, day by day. In an open-air market in central Moscow, weekend crowds walk among the tables of good. They gaze at cameras, VCRs, and color television sets. During the communist era, such merchandise was almost unknown in Moscow. Today, it is available, but prices are high. Moscovites, I guess what they call the people from there, Moscovites, look with longing, yet few can afford to buy. Moscovites. Here's some more pictures. Moscovites at home. So I will put this up so you can pause and read. And here are pictures of families. Pause and read. Talks about the high-rise apartment houses of 20 stories and more. Wow. Going shopping. Welcome to Gum. Gum is one of the landmarks of central Moscow. The initials stand for Russian words meaning State Universal Store. Completed in 1893, Gum, or G-U-M, has stucco arcs, walkways with wrought iron railings, and a spectacular glass roof. Today, Gum overflows with jeans, clock radios, video games, and other offerings from the United States and Western Europe. It is especially famous for its ice cream. And y'all know I love me some ice cream. Going shopping in Moscow. Some high-rises have small supermarkets on the ground floor. For the most part, however, Moscow their stores are widely scattered. Purchasing food, soap, and other essentials can take all day as you travel from store to store. During the communist era, most Muscovites had jobs, but their wages were low. After 1991, inflation soared. To make a bad situation worse, many workers were laid off. Others were forced to hold 2 or even 3 part-time jobs just to meet family expenses. The average Muscovite earns only about $100 a month. With these wages, few can afford the high-priced goods at Gum and other stores. Instead, many shoppers turn to the black market. Black marketers or marketeers sell goods illegally, avoiding import duties and other taxes. Few Muscovites could afford to own an automobile under communism. Most people travel by bus or subway. Public transportation is still cheap and available throughout the city. But in the 1990s, more and more cars appeared on Moscow streets. For the first time, Muscovites had to cope with traffic jams. This is Gum. Public transportation. Willing. This is a woman selling vegetables and spices in a small outdoor Moscow market. A crowded Moscow bus. So you can look at this, pause, and read. Moscow Underground. Look at this. Moscow Underground. Moscow's subway system, known as the Metro, is one of the grand achievements of the communist era. Metro stations are like art museums, adorned with mosaics, statues, paintings, and chandeliers. Each day, some 6 million passengers speed to their destination along 250 miles of tunnels beneath Moscow streets. Some people lament the passing of communism. They had less freedom in the old days, but life was safer and simpler. I work much harder than I did in the old days, and sometimes that makes it hard to remember what we've gained, says a Moscow teacher who sells used clothes on the weekends. Freedom is sweet, but it's also a heavy load. This homeless Armenian girl begs for money near Red Square. Homeless Armenian girl with a baby on her back. Fair weather and foul. So let's take a look. Snow begins to fall on Moscow in the middle of October. Oh, wow. That means it's cold. By November, the ground has a thick blanket of snow that usually lasts until April. I won't be moving there. I might visit, but I won't be moving there. I don't like cold. I've had enough of snow growing up. The Moskova River freezes solid, but work crews carve a wide channel to let boats pass. Giant icicles, some weighing 100 pounds or more, festoon tall building. Here goes a young Muscovite bundled up against the cold, and over here, a Russian man relaxing in Gorky Park. Cool, right? This traditional fur hat, complete with ear flaps for those bitter Moscow winters, carries the enlisted man's ensign on the front. So you guys can read the rest over here. Pause and read. There you go. The city on the river. During the Middle Ages, monks in present-day Russia kept careful records about people and events. One such account states that on April 4th, which was yesterday, I should have read this yesterday, right? April 4th, shout out to my cousin Bo. His birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday again, Bo. April 4th, 1147, a prince named Yuri Dolgoruki gave a splendid banquet to cement a new political alliance. The banquet was held at the prince's castle on the Moskva River. This castle stood somewhere on the side of present-day Moscow. The story is the earliest written reference to the city. Though the spot has been inhabited for hundreds of years, Russian school children are taught that 1147 is the year of Moscow's founding. Okay. Look at this beautiful, beautiful building here. Let me get a little closer so you can see. Nice. That's the city on the river. Safe behind the walls. I'll let you guys pause and read. Pause and read. Safe behind the walls. Pause and read. Terror in the Kremlin. I'll read this little part right here. Like many emperors before and since, this to the left is Ivan IV. Ivan IV. Ivan IV of Russia, 1530 to 1584, executed thousands of innocent people. In a fit of rage, he even killed his own son. But his horrible deeds earned him a lasting nickname. He is still remembered as Ivan the Terrible. Wow. I don't know. The abandoned capital. Pause and read. The abandoned capital. Okay. Pause and read. When Napoleon Bonaparte won the 1812 Battle of Borodino, Moscow fell into enemy hands. Guess what this is right here? Let's see. Guess you can pause and read this also. Pause and read. Yes, here's some pictures. An early view of the Kremlin. Left is an 1892 court ball or a dance. Let's see. The power of the people. The power of the people. Pause. Pause the video and read. This is me encouraging you guys to read a little bit more. This is Vladimir Lenin, under whose leadership communist forces deposed Tsar Nicholas II in 1917. Look at that. Above, the new Tsar Nicholas II kisses his mother after his coronation in 1894. Kissing his mom. How cool is that? Shout out to my mom who is here supporting me. Thanks, Mom. Okay, some more pauses and reading. Pause and read. Pause and read. Pause and read. So we're going to cover more pages like this because this is it's a lot of information in this book. So I got to give you some pauses and reading. Pause and read. So this one says somebody's watching. In 1565, Ivan the Terrible founded a group of 1,000 mounted soldiers called the Oprichnina. They rode throughout the countryside, seizing property from the Tsar's rivals and executing anyone who stood in their way, like the Oprichnina. Stalin's secret police of the 1930s, the KGB, also spread terror among the Russian people. Moscow and the rest of the Soviet Union lived in fear of the KGB, which arrested anyone suspected of disloyalty. The KGB was finally disbanded in 1993. Wow. So read, pause and read. The KGB, look at that. Left, Mikhail Gorbachev. Right, a KGB badge. KGB badge. Let's see. From circuses to symphonies. Wow. The circus. There is a myth that the Muscovite character is dark and somber, cold as a January wind off the Moskva. But the people of Moscow, like people everywhere, have endless facets. They can be deeply serious, but they also love to have fun. So the Muscovites excel in the realms of music, drama, dance, and athletics. The city has produced some of the greatest writers in the world. Before you decide about the Muscovite character, you must look at Moscow's achievements in entertainment and the arts. Okay. Entertainment and the arts. So on with the show. There you go. Interesting. Pause and read. Pause it and read it. And here's the pictures. Here's the entertainment. That looks like ballet to me. Then they got some circus clowns over here. Yes. Pause and read. This is who that is. You can see that. Let's see. Stories of a people. Pause and read. Pause and read, you guys. Pause and read. Leo Tolstoy. I heard of him. He was a writer. They're talking about him now here. Anna Karenina, right, is one of the great novels written by Leo Tolstoy. Tolstoy above. So that's Leo Tolstoy. Okay. We're going to continue on. I'm going to still show you every page. I'm not going to read every page. I'm going to show you every page. The Artist's Way. Isn't that beautiful around him? Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful. And look at this artist's work. Nice. So go ahead and pause and read. Pause and read. And then pause and read. An artist trying to sell his caricature of Mikhail Gorbachev. That right here. Oh wow. That's a good drawing. This painter on a high perch restores frescoes on the ceiling of St. Basil's Cathedral. Wow, interesting. Some more. Pause and read. Pause and read. The Tretyakov Gallery. Some interesting buildings that they have here. Moscow's mystery painter. Let me read that to you. So, Andrei Rublev, 1360 through 1430, is regarded as the greatest icon painter in the history of Russia. Yet almost nothing is known about his life. It is not even certain which icons he painted himself. During Rublev's lifetime, Russian painters did not sign their work. Scholars must search for evidence in church records and other documents of the day. Such evidence proves that Rublev painted the Old Testament Trinity, which now hangs in the Tretyakov Gallery. Wow. Some nice work. Seeing the sights. Seeing the sights. It says one of the best ways to view Moscow is from the deck of a boat on the Moskva River. The river twists and curves through the city, taking visitors from the quiet outskirts to the teeming center of government and culture. To experience Moscow, close up, however, you need to take the buses, ride the metro, and walk the streets. You should visit museums and churches, sit in the park, take in a soccer match, or try the ballet. Little by little, you may get to know the fascinating city that is now Moscow. So we got to get on one of these little boats when we visit to view the city. Interesting. Out on the edge. Pause the video and read. Pause and read. Pause and read. I wish I had all the time in the world to read all of these pages to you. Within the garden ring. Pause and read. Pause and read. That's a Russian folk doll. I'm going to pause and read this page too. Talking about Lubyanka Square. It was once the site of KGB headquarters. Until 1991, the square bore the name of secret police founder Felix Dzerzhinsky. I might pronounce that incorrectly, but forgive me. I'm doing my best. Oh, wow. The Arbat is one of the most charming areas of Moscow. It was once the home of such writers as Pushkin, Tolstoy, Bulgakov, and Pasternak. Arbat Street, the main thoroughfare, is a pedestrian walkway lined with enticing shops. In spring and summer, the Arbat is alive with mimes, jugglers, artists, vendors, and street musicians. Elegant mansions, now broken into apartments, still stand on many side streets. So the mansions, they broke them down into different apartments. Pretty cool, right? Red Square, Moscow's central plaza, was once the city's main marketplace. The name comes from the Russian word krasnury, which means both red and beautiful. Muscovites gather at Red Square for parades, festivals, and political rallies. Even on an ordinary day, Red Square is crowded with people. Red Square. Some of Moscow's most spectacular buildings front red square. The Kazan Cathedral was dedicated in 1636. Kazan Cathedral. That is it. And demolished 3 centuries later by the communists. Wow, they messed up such a nice building. Wow. Following the original design, the cathedral was reconstructed in the 1980s. Okay, it's back. The splendid St. Basil's Cathedral with its crown of domes and towers is one of Moscow's best-known landmarks. Another building on the square is the handsome red brick Moscow Historical Museum. With a vast collection of 4 million items, the museum captures the story of Russia from ancient times to present. Among the museum's greatest treasures are Peter the Great's sleigh, Napoleon's saber, and the royal wardrobe of Ivan the Terrible. The western side of Red Square lies upon... So you guys should think about visiting these places when you grow up. Or ask your parents. Let's go overseas to different countries and visit. That's why I do multicultural days on Wednesdays. So we can have an idea of what's overseas and, pique your interest. Maybe you'll think about going to visit some of these places. The western side of Red Square lies along the eastern wall of Kremlin. Nestled against the wall is a marble mausoleum housing the body of revolutionary leader Vladimir Lenin. People still travel from all over Russia to pay their respects at his national shrine. Lenin's embalmed body is on full view in a glass case. A team of 13 doctors is assigned the task of checking the body and keeping it in shape. Relics of the past. Can you pause and read? Very good, very good. So let's see, I don't want to skip any pages. I want you guys to see all of it. So this is behind the Kremlin walls. So once again, you can pause and read. View the buildings and the bridge and the boats and the water. Pause and read. And on this side too. That's kind of nice there. It's an ornate imperial carriage in the Armory Museum. Below is Russian schoolgirls. Interesting. The red staircase. Leading from the Palace of Facets is the magnificent red staircase. During weddings, christenings, and other religious ceremonies, let me hold this book up so you can see it. Other religious ceremonies, royal processions once descended these stairs to reach the Cathedral of the Annunciation. Napoleon stood on the staircase in 1812 and watched fire devour much of Moscow. The staircase was destroyed during the 1930s, but was rebuilt in 1994. I like how they rebuild these things. Go ahead and pause and read. Pause and read. Nice. Famous landmarks. Go ahead and pause and read the famous landmarks. Places to visit places to see when you go to Moscow and you visit. And let you read, pause and read. Beautiful, beautiful buildings. Okay. Beautiful. Fast facts about the economy, about the climate, about their location, about their area. And this is chronological map, I guess you can call it, on things that have happened, or timeline. Misty view of the Kremlin reflected in the Moskva River. Beautiful. 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 Here's a glossary also. A map. Map. And glossary. Tells you what all of these things mean. If you heard a word that you didn't know the meaning of, you didn't know what it meant, here you go. All right. And I believe this is the end, because this is the end. Moscow. Moscow. Thanks for listening, you guys. Thanks, Mom, for being here. I'll see you tomorrow, right? Thank you guys for sharing, clicking like, clicking share, and then post, and then going to YouTube, looking for Audrey's Reading Area, and smashing that subscribe button for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to everyone who shares my videos, who watches my videos, who listens to my videos, and reads books on their own, too. Shout out to you guys, too. I know. And I'll see you tomorrow live. Live. Live at 8, you guys. Alexa, what time is Audrey's Reading Area?
Audrey Reads in her area live at 8:00 p.m.
Well, all right. I'll see you again tomorrow live. Live. Live at 8. Here at Audrey's Reading Area. Thanks, Mom, again.